Welcome to Unshaken Mind, the forge where we temper the soul and sharpen the will. In the grand theater of modern life, a relentless performance is underway. Everywhere you look, people are auditioning for approval, scrambling for validation, and shouting their worth into a storm of noise, hoping anyone will listen. They explain, justify, and exhaust themselves, believing that the right words will finally grant them the acceptance they crave. But this frantic dance is a prison of the mind, a cage built from the opinions of others. The Stoic, however, does not audition. The Stoic does not beg for a role in another's play. The Stoic understands a truth that shakes the very foundation of this external theater. True power is not found in the noise of explanation, but in the profound, unshakable gravity of silence. Have you ever found yourself pleading your case to a deaf jury? Share your story with us in the comments below. When faced with misunderstanding, disrespect, or the cold sting of rejection, the common impulse is to react, to rush in, to mend, to clarify. We pour our energy into meticulously crafted paragraphs, desperate to illuminate our intentions for eyes that have already chosen to see us in the dark. This is not strength. It is the illusion of control, a frantic attempt to steer another person's perceptions. You call, and the silence on the other end feels like an accusation. So you text, then message again, each word a small piece of your sovereignty willingly surrendered. You are handing them the keys to your own inner peace, making your tranquility conditional on their response. As the great Stoic teacher Epictetus warned us, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. When you chase another's validation, you are not merely valuing something outside your control, you are enslaving your mind to it. Type control in the comments to reclaim what is rightfully yours, your own mind. True Stoic strength manifests not in the clever retort or the impassioned defense, but in the quiet dignity of detachment. Imagine someone casts an insult your way. The world expects a reaction, a defense, a counterattack. But you offer none. You simply observe the words, recognize them as external events, mere vibrations in the air, and choose not to grant them entry into your inner citadel. You walk away, not from pride, but from a deep understanding that your worth is not a topic for debate. Your dignity does not scream for recognition. It resides in a quiet, fortified center. This silence is not a void. It is a crucible of discipline, a testament to self-respect, and a declaration of inner freedom that proclaims, "My perception of myself is not contingent on your understanding of me." This disciplined stillness is unnerving to those who navigate the world through manipulation and reaction. For in your non-reaction, you dissolve the power they believed they held over your emotional state. Has silence ever been your most powerful response? Let us know when you chose stillness over the storm. Today, we delve into the heart of this formidable power. We are not speaking of the passive silence of fear or the resentful silence of pride. We are exploring the active, intentional, and sovereign silence of the Stoic mind. A silence that builds internal fortresses, not external prisons. This is the silence that creates a vacuum where your presence once was, forcing others to confront not your words, but your absence. We will dissect 6 profound truths, 6 pillars of Stoic wisdom that reveal why those who master this art never chase, never beg, and never feel the need to explain their own existence. If you are weary from the endless cycle of overgiving, if you have felt the sting of being profoundly misunderstood, if you have ever chased a shadow that was walking away from you, then this is your moment of awakening. Let this be the anchor you didn't know you needed. Before we begin our journey into the first truth, Take a moment to affirm your commitment. Declare your intention now. Comment below, "My silence is my strength." Number 1. Silence commands a reckoning with your absence. There is a profound paradox that the undisciplined mind cannot grasp. When you cease your explanations, when you halt the chase, the world does not forget you. Instead, it is forced to remember you in a new and unsettling way. Your silence does not push, it creates a gravitational pull. Think of the last time you were wounded by another's actions. A sudden ghosting, a casual act of disrespect, the icy wall of indifference. Your immediate conditioned instinct was likely a storm of words, to protest, to defend your character, to demand an explanation for their behavior.
But the Stoics knew that words are often just noise scattered to the wind. The more you speak to a person who is not listening, the cheaper your words become. The more you pursue someone who is retreating, the more you validate their departure. But when you choose strategic silence, when you withdraw your energy, you transform the entire dynamic. Suddenly, your absence becomes a tangible presence in their mind, a space that was once filled with your efforts, now hauntingly empty. Have you ever felt the power shift the moment you stopped talking? Share that experience with us. The philosopher Elbert Hubbard, echoing a sentiment the Stoics embodied, once wrote, "He who does not understand your silence will probably not understand your words." This is the core of our first truth. Silence holds up a mirror to the other person. In your quiet withdrawal, you are not saying, "You hurt me." Instead, your silence communicates something far more potent. I see your actions for what they are. I feel the consequence of your choices, and I value my own peace too much to debate my worth with you. This is not a posture of ego, it is an act of profound clarity. It is the realization that if they possessed the empathy to care, they would inquire. If they held true respect for you, they would seek to understand. If they were emotionally mature, they would not require a dissertation on your value to recognize it. And so, you fall silent. In that sacred stillness, you call back all the power you had outsourced. You cease the futile expenditure of life force trying to be seen by those who are willfully blind. You stop attempting to build bridges to islands of indifference. You understand that some wounds do not heal through dialogue, but through the sovereign act of reclaiming your own attention. Type clarity to commit to seeing things as they are, not as you wish them to be. This deliberate silence will inevitably create discomfort for the person who wronged you. It will sow confusion. It will ignite questions they are unaccustomed to asking themselves. Why did they not react? Why is there no angry message? Have they truly ceased to care? This is the precise moment the scales of power rebalance. Your silence speaks a truth that their ego cannot easily dismiss. You owe them nothing. Not an explanation, not a confrontation, not another moment of your precious, unrecoverable time. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, constantly reminded himself to return to his inner citadel, his fortified mind. Your silence is the act of raising the drawbridge. You are not attacking the world outside, you are simply securing the peace within. This isn't about punishment, it's about preservation. You are preserving your energy, your dignity, and your focus for what truly matters, living a life of virtue and purpose, independent of the turmoil of external validation. What does preserving your energy mean to you in your daily life? Let's discuss in the comments. Number 2. In the sanctuary of silence, you hear the voice of truth. Our world is a cacophony, a relentless bombardment of external stimuli, opinions, and demands. In moments of emotional distress, a betrayal, a loss, a profound confusion, the default human response is to seek answers in the noise. We dial friends, scroll through feeds, and desperately seek a conversation that will magically cauterize our internal wounds. We look for a map in someone else's hands, forgetting that the territory is our own soul. The Stoic path diverges radically here. The Stoic turns inward. He embraces silence not as an escape from the pain, but as the only environment where the truth of the pain can be understood. He knows that clarity is not found in the echo chamber of external advice, but in the quiet chambers of self-reflection. Have you ever found an answer in stillness that noise could never provide? We want to hear about it. It was Marcus Aurelius who penned the ultimate reminder of our inner power. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. This revocation, this reclaiming of power, cannot happen amidst the chaos of reaction. It requires you to be still. When you envelop yourself in silence, the frantic churn of the emotional mind begins to settle. Like sediment in water, the turmoil subsides, and what was once murky becomes clear. In this newfound clarity, the whispers of wisdom, long drowned out by the screams of emotion, finally emerge. You begin to hear profound truths from your own ruling faculty. Their disrespect was a reflection of their character, not a measure of my worth.
Or, my anger is not at their departure, but at my own prolonged tolerance of what I knew was wrong. Or, the most liberating truth of all, I do not require their apology to begin my own healing. My peace is my own responsibility. Type wisdom to honor the voice of your own inner guide. These revelations are not delivered via text message or a cathartic phone call. They are born in the quiet hours when you stop performing for an audience and begin listening to yourself. Silence creates the necessary space to disentangle your raw emotions from your core values. When you are hurt, your emotions are a chorus of desperate impulses. Chase them, prove them wrong, make them see. But your values, when consulted in stillness, offer a different counsel. Uphold your dignity. Protect your inner tranquility. Let go with grace. This is why the great Stoics championed the philosophical pause, that sacred interval between a stimulus and your response. This pause is the birthplace of wisdom. Modern society, in its obsession with immediacy, teaches the opposite. Speak your truth, it commands. But it often fails to distinguish between speaking from a place of reactive emotion and speaking from a place of grounded, reflective wisdom. How do you practice the philosophical pause in your own life? Share your techniques below. You do not earn respect by raising your voice. You cultivate it by grounding your spirit. When you remain silent and observant, you allow reality to reveal itself without your interference. You don't have to interrogate people about their intentions. Their actions in the face of your stillness will be their confession. You don't have to beg for the truth. It will surface naturally in the space you create. Your silence is not passive. It is an active, focused state of observation. It is the conscious choice to stop reacting to the turbulent waves of life and, instead, to respond from the unshakable depth of your own purpose. This is the doorway to inner wisdom that most people, in their fear of being alone with their thoughts, will never dare to open. When uncertainty clouds your judgment, when your emotions rage like a storm, do not act. Be still. The answer you seek is not in the world outside. It is waiting for you in the sanctuary of your own silence. Commit to this practice. Type sanctuary to build your inner place of peace. Number 3. The pursuit of closure from an external source is an act of self-betrayal. Let us confront a difficult and often unacknowledged truth. The desperate chase for closure from the person who caused us pain is rarely about finding peace. More often, it is a disguised plea for validation, a final attempt to have our pain acknowledged by the very source that was indifferent to inflicting it. We crave that one last conversation, that one definitive explanation, believing it will be the final chapter that allows us to close the book.
But the Stoics would see this pursuit for what it is, a profound misallocation of our focus. If a person possessed the character and respect to offer you a clean, honest ending, you would likely never have needed one in the first place. Therefore, when they don't offer it, their continued silence, their avoidance, is the closure. It is the final unspoken statement on their character. Have you ever found more peace in walking away than in getting that final talk? Let us know. Epictetus' timeless directive, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it," is the key to unlocking this trap. When you cease demanding that others philosophize about their actions, explaining why they did what they did, and instead focus on embodying your own philosophy of self-respect and resilience, the need for their input simply dissolves. The pain of the initial event is real, a legitimate, dispreferred indifferent in Stoic terms. But the secondary suffering, the suffering that comes from needing them to explain their motives, is a choice. It is a choice to make your healing process dependent on their participation. Think of the vicious cycle. They act without consideration, you demand an explanation. They respond with defensive justifications, gaslighting, or cold silence. You feel invalidated and even more wounded. The cycle continues until you realize that closure is not a gift they can bestow upon you. It is a declaration you make for yourself when you finally withdraw your energy and walk away in silence. Type sovereignty to declare that your healing is in your hands alone. It is seductively easy to convince yourself, "If I could just make them understand my perspective," or "if they could only see how much they hurt me." But this is a fantasy of control.
In reality, you are attempting to reason with the very mindset that was comfortable causing you pain. You are explaining your heart to someone who has already demonstrated their deafness to it. You are pouring your precious energy into a vessel that is already full of its own justifications. This is not a path to healing. It is a profound act of self-abandonment. Your ego is deeply invested in this chase. It wants to be vindicated, to be seen as the right one, to have the final word. But the Stoic understands that the ego's desires are often at odds with the soul's peace. Chasing this external validation is a betrayal of your own growth, a refusal to accept the reality that has been presented to you. Where in your life do you need to stop explaining and start accepting? Reflect and share if you feel comfortable. True, authentic closure is an internal alignment. It is the quiet acceptance that what they gave you was the fullness of their capacity at that moment. It is the understanding that no amount of your words will magically transform them into a more empathetic, respectful, or self-aware individual. It is the decision to stop waiting for a conversation that will likely never meet your needs, and to instead start a new conversation with yourself, one based on self-compassion and forward momentum. The people who hurt you do not need to understand your worth. You do. The people who left without a word do not need to give you a formal farewell. You can bid them farewell in the quiet of your own heart. Stop composing the perfect message in your mind. Stop rehearsing dialogues that will never take place. Stop seeking treasure in an empty chest. Turn away, go silent. And in that silence, let your self-respect, starved for so long, finally take its first deep, life-giving breath. Commit to this liberation. Type, "I breathe" to let go of what is gone. Number 4. Silence is the unsparing light that exposes what words conceal. When you make the conscious choice to withdraw your words, a remarkable phenomenon occurs. The intricate masks people wear begin to loosen and fall away. Language is a powerful tool, but it is as adept at concealing as it is at revealing.
People learn to say the right things, to offer socially acceptable apologies, to weave narratives of justification that paint them in the most favorable light. They use words as a smokescreen to hide their true intentions. But silence is a solvent. It dissolves the smokescreen. It cannot be manipulated, argued with, or spun. It simply is. As Seneca would remind us, we should trust in deeds, not words. The best way to discern a person's true character is to stop listening to their script and start observing their actions on the silent stage you have just created. Can you recall a time when someone's actions spoke so loudly their words became meaningless? Share that moment of clarity. This is the Stoic as a dispassionate observer of human nature. Your silence is not passive. It is an act of intense, focused observation. By ceasing to engage, you give others the open space to reveal their authentic selves, and they almost always will. The person who genuinely values you will be unsettled by your absence and will reach out with sincere concern and a willingness to understand. The person who was merely using you for their own emotional or practical needs will vanish, for the resource you provided is no longer available. And the manipulator, the one who fed on your reactions, will become agitated, confused, or even hostile. Not because you have wronged them, but because their primary tool of control, your emotional engagement, has been rendered useless. Their frustration is their confession. Type observe to commit to seeing patterns over listening to promises. What so many fail to comprehend is that words create an illusion of connection, while silence reveals the reality of it. You do not need a dramatic confrontation. You do not need to set elaborate tests. You simply need to withdraw your verbal energy and watch. See who steps forward into the quiet space you've created. See who respects your silence and who tries to violently break it. See who reveals their empathy and who reveals their impatience. That is the unvarnished truth. And while it can be brutal, it is an essential ingredient for your freedom. People can dismiss your arguments, twist your words, and debate your feelings. But they cannot argue with the stark, undeniable fact of your absence. They cannot debate the profound stillness where your energy used to be. When you remain quiet, you stop co-authoring the fiction they are trying to write. You refuse to play your part in their emotional drama.
You cease pretending that their eloquent apologies hold more weight than their consistent patterns of behavior. What is a pattern in your life that silence has helped you finally see? Let us know below. This kind of discerning silence brings an unparalleled clarity. You stop needing someone to articulate why they treated you poorly because their actions in the face of your silence become the only explanation you need. You begin to trust the energy you feel over the explanations you hear. You start to value what is demonstrated over what is declared. This is the essence of practical Stoicism. It is not cold, it is clear-eyed. It is not distant, it is discerning. It is not emotionless, it is the mastery of emotion in the service of truth. So, the next time someone attempts to talk their way out of a reality they created, resist the urge to engage in their verbal labyrinth. Be still, be silent, and let their own nature, unprompted and unmasked, speak the truth for them. Commit to this truth. Type patterns, not promises, to ground yourself in reality. Number 5. True confidence is a fortress that needs no external defense. Let us be honest with ourselves. The sting of being misunderstood runs deep. When our character is questioned or our intentions are maligned, a primal urge arises within us. The urge to defend, to correct the record, to plead our case until the other person finally sees the real us. But the Stoic sage understands a crucial distinction. The desire to be understood by others is a form of seeking external validation.
The confident mind does not seek validation, it generates its own. Why is explaining yourself to those who have already passed judgment a fool's errand? Because it is not an act of confidence, it is an act born of the fear of being misjudged. Have you ever felt the liberation of letting someone be wrong about you? Marcus Aurelius, in the quiet solitude of his military tent, wrote a powerful directive to himself. Don't waste the rest of your time here speculating about your neighbors. For why force yourself to guess what they are doing or thinking or saying when you could be focusing on your own work? Every moment you spend crafting a defense, every ounce of energy you expend trying to convince another of your inherent worth, is a moment and an ounce of your finite life force stolen from your own purpose. The truly confident individual is not arrogant. They are profoundly at peace. This peace comes from an unshakable inner knowledge. Their intentions are virtuous, their actions are aligned with their principles, and their intrinsic value does not require translation for those who are not willing to learn the language. This quiet self-assurance is the bedrock of a Stoic mind. Type self-reliant to affirm your commitment to inner validation. Achieving this level of serene detachment is not a simple task. The world will test you. You may be labeled as cold, arrogant, or selfish. People who are accustomed to your emotional engagement may feel abandoned. But you must understand this critical truth. Losing people who were only comfortable with a version of you that constantly over-explained and justified its own existence is not a loss. It is a necessary alignment. It is the shedding of connections that were conditional on your self-abandonment. The uncomfortable secret is that most people who demand explanations do not actually desire understanding. They desire control. They want to control the narrative, to control your perception of yourself, and to control your behavior. When your silence shatters their narrative, they react with anger. Not because you have harmed them, but because you have ceased to participate in their illusion. Has alignment ever felt like loss at first? Share your journey. When you stop explaining, you begin to lead with your actions and your energy. You no longer justify your need for solitude. You no longer explain why you have distanced yourself from toxicity. You no longer defend the boundaries that protect your peace. You simply embody them. And those who are meant to walk beside you, those who operate from a similar place of maturity and respect, will understand your silence without needing subtitles. This energy is rare and formidable. It repels manipulators who find no emotional levers to pull. It starves emotional vampires who find no energy to consume. But to the few who recognize it, it signals a deep and profound self-respect. They see a person who will not discount their own worth to make a room full of insecure people comfortable. That is the essence of Stoic silence. It is not theatrical, it is not a desperate cry for attention. It is calm, rooted, and unshakable, like an ancient oak in a storm.
Vous ne do not owe anyone an explanation for prioritizing your sanity. You do not need anyone's permission to enforce your boundaries. You do not need to speak your value into existence when your silent, dignified presence has already said everything. Declare your freedom. Type I owe me to prioritize your own peace. Number 6. Your detachment is the lesson. Your silence is the teacher. There exists a unique and quiet power in the person who can walk away from a destructive situation without fanfare. There is no final, dramatic monologue. There is no door slammed in anger. There is no multi-page message detailing every transgression. There is simply a departure, a quiet, decisive, and complete withdrawal of presence. And in that silent exit, you deliver a lesson that 1,000 impassioned speeches could never impart. Seneca's wisdom that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality is profoundly relevant here. The real suffering for the person left behind begins when your silence forces them into their own imagination. When you cease to respond, they are left alone with the echo of their own actions. They are left with the memory of your kindness juxtaposed against their own behavior. They are left in the vast, empty space where your energy once resided. Have you ever taught a more powerful lesson with your absence than you ever could with your presence? Your serene detachment communicates a series of powerful, unspoken truths. My journey no longer includes tolerating this behavior. I will not participate in a dynamic that diminishes my spirit. I have come to realize that my inner peace is more valuable to me than this connection. Most people are utterly unprepared for this form of energy. They are conditioned to expect a fight, a plea, a negotiation. They expect you to break down, to demand closure, to prove how much they affected you. By refusing to perform this emotional labor, you exit their game entirely. Your silent departure, undertaken with dignity, forces them to confront the one thing they cannot argue with, the consequences of their own choices. They may have expected you to chase, to prove your loyalty, to eventually return, but you do not. And that simple, quiet act of non-return is more unsettling to their ego than any verbal confrontation could ever be. They suddenly realize that their access to your time, your grace, and your energy was a privilege, not a right. A privilege that has been revoked. Type detachment to reclaim your energy from situations that no longer serve you. This is the moment the true lesson begins. People rarely learn from being told they are wrong. They learn, if they are capable of learning at all, from experiencing the tangible loss that their actions have created. They don't change because you shouted, "Respect me." They begin to change, if ever, when your profound absence forces them to question why someone of your caliber would choose to leave. And here is the most crucial part. If they never learn the lesson, it does not matter. The lesson was never truly for them in the first place. It was for you. You learned that your peace does not require another person's permission. You learned that your dignity is non-negotiable. You learned that silence is not just an act of strength, it is an act of profound self-healing. When you detach in silence, you are performing surgery on your own life. You are carefully and precisely removing the toxic patterns, the draining dynamics, the connections that were bleeding you dry. You stop explaining a storm to someone who has never ventured outside. What lesson did your own detachment teach you? Share your wisdom with our community. This is why the Stoics were masters of response, not reaction. They did not chase retribution or external justice. They understood that the most powerful act is to align oneself with virtue and nature, and to calmly walk away from all that is not in alignment. You do not need to broadcast, "I am finished with this." You can simply be finished. That is true power. That is the serene, unshakable silence that disarms and bewilders those who believed your emotions were theirs to command. Do not fear the act of detachment. Detach, go quiet, and let them sit with the consequence of the space where you used to be. The lesson will be taught, whether they choose to learn it or not. If you have journeyed with us to this point, you can already feel the shift within you. It is a quiet resonance, a deep and ancient truth bubbling to the surface of your consciousness. The relentless pursuit of external validation, the chasing, the begging, the explaining, is a cage of your own making. You do not have to be loud to have value. You do not have to win an argument to be right. Vous n'aidez pas, avez à châter votre own inner peace to keep someone else comfortable on their dysfunction. This is le cornerstone de le Stoic temple, not a cold, unfeeling detachment from humanity, but a powerful, loving detachment from chaos. It is the wisdom to know the difference. The great minds of Stoicism left us a map, and on that map, silence is not a void, it is a destination. It is the ultimate expression of self-control. It is the refusal to squander your vital energy on battles that do not serve your soul. It is the supreme confidence of knowing that your value is inherent and does not diminish when it goes unrecognized by others. There will always be moments when the ghosts of old habits rise, when the emotional impulse to react, to explain, to fight will surge within you. In those critical moments, pause and remember this truth. Your silence may not win the argument, but it will always win back yourself. Every time you choose the path of quiet dignity, you are laying another stone in the foundation of your inner citadel. Every time you walk away without a final word, you are reclaiming a piece of your stolen worth. This is the ultimate practice of self-mastery. Let your silence be the final statement, not from a place of spite or ego, but from a place of deep, unshakable, and sacred self-respect. Thank you for walking this path with us. If this message has forged a new resolve in your heart, show your support by liking this video. Share it with another soul who is ready to reclaim their power. Your voice and your journey matter to this community, so share your affirmations in the comments below. And subscribe to Unshaken Mind for your weekly dose of Stoic truth. Now, seal your commitment with one final declaration. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence is my peace, my power, and my final word.